scenario you're about to see is one which is becoming more common due to the current low perceived level of harm which adolescent age populations are displaying towards marijuana, nicotine, and vaping. The screening is being performed during the client's first counseling session at an adolescent mental health care provider. The client is a 17-year-old male who's presenting for their first episode of depression. The client has no previous diagnosis. The client's parents arranged the appointment after their son has consistently reported a lack of interest in previously enjoyed activities after being encouraged to be more active. The client's parents report their son has been caught 3 times in the past 3 months possessing both marijuana and e-cigarette paraphernalia. The parents are unsure as to whether their son is using drugs or is experiencing a mental health crisis. The 17-year-old client has agreed to be seen by a mental health provider in order to appease his parents. The client has completed the CRAFFT 2.1+N screening test. The client answered 3 to using marijuana and 3 to the vape device questions. The client reports no other substance use. The client answered yes to the family and friends question, and the client answered no to all other questions. The car, relax, alone, and forget. We will be utilizing the OARS technique and the readiness to change ruler to evoke an accurate history of use, determine the client's stage of change, and their willingness to change the identified behaviors. All right, thank you for coming in today, and thank you for filling out the questionnaire. It really helps me guide our conversation today. And I just want you to know that anything we talk about in here is confidential and private. All right? That means unless you tell me that you're going to harm yourself or others, maybe you're being harmed or by someone else in some way, then I'm not going to tell your parents about it. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So I'd like to go over this screening form and this test that you completed it. And it looks like you reported using both cannabis and nicotine about 3 times in the last 12 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so. What does it matter anyway? I'm not a stoner. I'm not addicted to anything.
Yeah. Well, I don't like labels either. So it sounds like you're concerned. I might judge you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anything. My parents really just wanted me to come here.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I respect that. The reason I have all my clients answer these questions is so that I can make our time spent together as meaningful as possible. I don't want to waste your time. So I see that you didn't report any alcohol use. That's great. Can I ask why?
Yeah, alcohol is just stupid. I really don't see why I see people drink it and I see them act stupid. I don't know why people would drink it anyway.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm correct in assuming that you've made up your mind about not using alcohol. It sounds like you kind of decided that.
Yeah, you can say that.
Can I ask if you feel the same way about marijuana or nicotine or vaping?
Yeah, well, weed is a plant. It's not addictive. I see people smoke it a lot and they never act the same way. As drunk people do. Also, weed is already legal, so I know lots of people who smoke it and they're fine. And e-cigarettes is really just kind of vapor, so it's not going to harm me.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you have your health in mind when you're choosing what you're going to participate in. And I do want to review how you answered some of the nicotine questions. Would that be okay?
I guess.
Okay. All right, so looking at these questions, it looks like you've never had a hard time quitting. You don't currently use nicotine because it's hard to quit. And you've never felt addicted?
Yeah, I never felt addicted.
No strong cravings or felt like you've had to use nicotine?
No.
And it's not hard to keep from vaping in school or places that it is not allowed?
Yeah, right.
You can go through school all day without really feeling the need to take a rip off the vape?
It's no problem.
All right. And when you haven't used nicotine for a while, you don't find it hard to concentrate, you don't get irritable, no strong urge to use nicotine, no nervousness or anxiousness?
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, I don't have a problem or anything. It's not like weed and nicotine are hard drugs. There are way worse things out there.
I mean, I understand your point of view, and I get it, but can you tell me a little bit about the times you have used marijuana and these things?
Yeah, like I said, I only really used 3 or 4 times, and it was when I was hanging out with my friends. My parents they make a big deal about it. They caught me with stuff a couple of times, and I got grounded.
All right, so that's why you check your family and friends. You should stop.
Yeah.
And I also see here that you didn't check using anything else to get high in the past 12 months. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Can you tell me why you haven't tried anything else?
Same reason. Hard drugs are stupid. I don't want it to end up like a druggie.
So if I understand you correctly, you have a line that you're not willing to cross. Weed and nicotine are relatively okay for you, but you would never do anything else?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I understand that. It's good to have boundaries in place, but it's very important to understand all the risks associated with all the choices. So let me share with you how you scored on this question, on these questions. Okay, how you answered these questions place you in what we call a medium risk level. And what that means is that if you continue to use marijuana, you run the risk of experiencing some reoccurring problems related to their use. Right, so that could mean like, you might, see yourself experiencing a problem today and then again in a few days. You're not quite sure why, but they keep recurring. What do you think of that?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. If it's okay, I would like to ask you to look at this ruler and tell me, this is what's called a readiness to change, right? And ruler. So with 10 being very ready to change and 0 being not at all ready to change, where do you find yourself? Where do you see yourself as far as willingness or the readiness to stop using marijuana or nicotine or both? You're like a 2. Okay. Well, let me ask you. I mean, 2 is great. So great. Um, it's but can you tell me why you're not a 0 or a 1?
I don't know. I'm just not. If I want to stop, I'll stop.
So it sounds like you're confident about that. I'm going to ask you to look at this again. Can you point to where you would fall regarding confidence to stop, with 0 being not confident at all and 10 being very confident? All right, wow. I mean, that's great. A 10 is really good. I would like to ask you though, like, how could we get you to a 3 or 4 on the readiness to change part?
I don't know.
Is there anything you're concerned about regarding your current use of marijuana or nicotine?
Nah, not really.
Fine. Well, I would like to give you some of these brochures, and regarding nicotine and marijuana. This is a sheet that is explains some of the health side effects associated with nicotine. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there that young people like yourself may come into contact with, and that misinformation could harm you in ways that you may not be aware of. So I would really like it if you could read this, and I'll give you some other on our way out. Do you think that you could read this one and the others that I'll give you before our next meeting? Then our next meeting, you could share your thoughts on them.
Yeah.
Is that something we can do?
Yeah, I guess so.
Great. In the meantime, I always recommend young people your age to avoid any substance use, and this includes nicotine and marijuana. These things can have a negative effect on your ability to maintain happiness and health from day to day. I do want to commend you, though, on the fact that you checked no for riding in or driving in a car. I see here that you did mark negative on that. And driving under the influence of marijuana can result in a DUI and other criminal charges, very similar to how alcohol can lead to those things. It also puts you at risk of accidental injury and death. So I hope you continue to avoid that situation. However, you seem like someone who is confident enough to say no to a situation like that. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Well, do you think that between now and our next appointment, you could use your reported confidence to avoid any nicotine or marijuana use?
I guess so.
Okay, great. Well, we'll touch base about this at our next appointment. How does that sound? All right, great. This mock interview of the CRAFFT 2.1+N screening was intended to show resistant, non-engaged complex youth. The young person received affirmation for not drinking alcohol, but the focus of the screening was to provide a brief intervention in the form of prevention education along with the verbal contract for safety, which was in essence a suggestion or an agreement to avoid any marijuana and nicotine use until their next scheduled visit. There was no referral for treatment at this time due to the lack of significant self-report and a follow-up visit scheduled in the near future. One of the important parts of the screening process with resistant individuals is to provide recommendations based on concerns regarding their health and wellness while providing affirmation for things they are doing well. The entire screening, scoring, motivational interviewing, and brief intervention was accomplished in under 10 minutes. The clinician will conduct a follow-up screening with the young person at the next scheduled visit and discuss any changes noted at that time. Follow the link below for more SBIRT videos and resources.